Welcome to another edition of the Chicks on the Right podcast, where we chat with the Chief Investment Officer at Bulwark Capital Management, our friend and sponsor of the show, Zach Abraham. Zach, we got to talk to you today about all the hullabaloo with the college campus protests.
So we have this list of schools, right? And it's gifts for American universities from foreign countries since 2012. I got to know, first of all, how in the hell do they do this? It's like, what, how does this even work? And then second of all, what's the economic impact of that? Because we already know what the cultural impact is because we're watching it play out. But from an economic standpoint, how do you feel about that from a guy that, handles money every day? What are your thoughts on that?
I will be honest with you. This chart shocked me.
Really?
Yeah, because think about it. What is the university? The university system in this country is so corrupt and so backwards, right? The only reason, the China one is the only one that doesn't. Now you put it in context, and I sit there and I go, this actually makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. China's whole deal, it's not even well hidden, right? China's whole deal is to have social impact on the people that are running our country or that are going to be running it, right? And they've even set up these Chinese institutions. I'm blanking the name. There's a term. There's an actual term for these that they've set up at all these colleges.
The Confucius
Institutes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, right. And it makes sense when I look at the rest of them. They see what China's doing.
But how does that work when we're giving so many of those countries aid,
money, right?
And then they're turning around and then taking money and saying, "Here, American university." I don't understand the mechanics of this.
Yeah, because one of the things I thought was interesting, like we said this morning in our Venezuela, they're eating zoo animals, but yet they're turning around and giving us $4 million. How does that even work? I don't get it.
Priorities, right? Paying for influence. I mean, look, DC has taught us that, right? Paying for influence matters, and it works.
Wow.
And more importantly, I think what it shows is something that's really scary, and I think something that we know. But writ large, now even in the universities, the segment of our country, everything's for sale, and everybody's for sale.
God.
And that you put this in context. You look at this chart. No wonder you've got these protests going on.
Right. The Middle Eastern influence is so prevalent. It's just, it's right in your face. I mean, Qatar, is that how you pronounce it? Qatar?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait. I mean, look at Iraq. Look at the countries that are giving gobs and gobs and buckets of money to these to our universities.
I know.
And it's not for nothing. It's not to be kind. It's not like, here, I'm just being so altruistic and philanthropic.
Right.
Well, and that's what I was that was going to be my next point, right? Why is there corruption and bribes? Because it works. Right? It works, right? That's why they do it. And I mean, they're just buying influence. And I was going to say, I guarantee you, especially with the top 4 or 5 on those lists, that those come with caveats, right? You need to hire some professors from our local university or whatever. And these, and these college presidents, that they've become really is overseers of these huge endowments and money raisers, right?
Yeah.
And they're not going to turn money down from. The other thing is it sort of like the prisoners running it's certainly the prisoners running the asylum or the patients running the asylum, but even with the faculty, right? Listen to Claudine Gay, right? The best and brightest. I mean, well, when you're listening to her, you don't really know whose words you're listening to. Words or something cool.
True.
But these are not the best and brightest.
Yeah,
and
they're not.
They're going to be easy to snow. They're going to be easy to manipulate. But I don't really think I've been more bummed out by a chart that I've seen.
I'm sorry. I know.
Sorry.
We're sorry to show that to you.
Where did you even run into that?
It was floating around social media the other day, and I was just like, I don't get this. I don't understand this at all.
And the source is the U.S. Department of Education, which I'm surprised they even allowed this to go out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this reminds me of a conversation. My grandfather was a really brilliant guy, and he wrote 2 New York Times bestseller lists, and he wrote he was pretty high up in the Republican Party at one point. He wrote speeches for a couple of the Republican presidential candidates for president. And I remember him telling me, I was probably like 8 or 9 at the time, back in the 80s. And he was saying, look at all these, look at this modern liberal party. He goes, in your lifetime, these people are going to be the most intolerant people you've ever seen. And he laid it out. And I remember asking him why. And he goes, Zach, the extreme of any position eventually becomes its opposite. Right. And now you have the party of tolerance and love.
Right.
Radically anti-Semitic on college campuses.
Isn't it crazy?
It's just, I'm shocked. Like, it doesn't surprise me that those people have gone there. It's just crazy. I'm old enough to remember the party of anti-war and love is now pro-war and anti-war.
Yeah.
It's just crazy, right?
He was right. He was 100% correct.
Yeah.
He was correct. Yeah. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and with everything being as crazy as it is, one of the things, I mean, we talk to our audience a lot about how important it is to make sure that your finances are in shape, because as you always say, you only get one retirement. And so we're telling people that they should schedule a free risk analysis with you. How can they do that?
Yeah, easiest way to do it is just go to the website, bulwarkcapitalmanagement.com, knowyourriskradio.com. And it really is a one-off thing. So, people, we get the comment all the time, oh, you guys really, this isn't cookie cutter stuff. We're like, no, I was just dealing with a client that's working on selling a business, and we're walking through this. And obviously we have things that we think are good for everybody, but today's a perfect day. Our portfolios are actually up. We're having a nice day. The market's going through the ringer. Why? We have exposure to a lot of, now it doesn't guarantee it every day, but we have exposure to other things that you're going to need in this environment. And most people's portfolios are not ready. So anyway, you go to the website, knowyourriskradio.com, bulwarkcapitalmanagement.com, and we'll get you squared away.
Awesome.
Yay. Thank you so much, Zach.
All right. Thank you, ladies.
Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Information presented is for educational purposes only. It should not be considered specific investment advice, does not take into consideration your specific situation, and does not intend to make an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities or investment strategies. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed, and past performance is no guarantee of future results. For specific tax advice on strategy, consult with a qualified tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed herein.